Indulging in the free samples at Costco may seem like a very simple transaction, but underneath it all is a finely tuned protocol that only trained professionals are entrusted with carrying out. At almost any given time, every Costco warehouse is swarming with people, whether they're busy customers or busy employees. But perhaps the most popular people in any Costco are the ones running the food sampling stations. Armed with an apron and a toaster oven, they dole out bites of tasty products available right that very moment, along with a running spiel about their items' value and deliciousness. But despite their thorough knowledge of certain Costco products, they don't actually work for Costco. So don't ask them to help you find something in the store, as that's not their responsibility. The legion of workers wearing big smiles and blue aprons are actually employed by Club Demonstration Services. That isn't a division of Costco, although it is a business that is pretty much entirely reliant on Costco. According to the CDS website, they're the in-house product demonstration service provider for the warehouse chain. CDS's entire operation centers around sampling and showcasing Costco items inside Costco stores. The company started as a pilot project at 16 Costco locations in the 1980s, and they've since grown into the retailer's international partner in 13 countries. And while CDS works solely with Costco, the warehouse chain still charges the demo company a nominal fee. According to a 2018 Mental Floss interview with a former Costco sample worker, Club Demonstration Services encourages its employees to abide by a system known as Sitka. Each letter represents a different quality, skill, or technique that samplers use to pull in shoppers. It stands for smile, invite, talk, give sample, and ask. Samplers are supposed to smile big enough so that passing customers can see, and then verbally invite them to try a sample. Once they've gently ensnared these shoppers, the samplers should then talk about the product and explain its many unique and attractive qualities before they give a sample or motion to the tray of free food. Finally, they're directed to ask if the customer has any more questions about the product. It's in a CDS employee's best financial interest to make Sitka work as well as possible. If they move a lot of stock of the sampled goods, they may receive a pay bonus, and some samplers may earn a different reward. If they consistently sell out their store supply of the items that they've been tasked with sampling, they'll be offered extra shifts. Neither Club Demonstration Services nor Costco wants to have an uninformed employee on the sales floor. Thus, samplers are strongly urged to try out for themselves the foods that they're tasked with sampling, as well as whatever their fellow CDS workers are demonstrating. As one former CDS worker explained on Reddit, "We're encouraged to do so before we set up so we can better sell the product. Also, on our 15-minute breaks, we were allowed to go around and get samples from our coworkers. So yes, all the time, just not when we work because that's unsanitary." As for how strict this rule is, that's probably determined on a case-by-case basis. Nonetheless, snacking on samples during a shift is frowned upon. As another CDS sampler revealed on Reddit, "At my store, you can be fired for eating a sample while you're working."
Hey, what about me? Can I get fired too?
When a CDS employee is assigned a particular sample station for a shift, that's their workplace for the day. Thus, they're required to never wander too far away from that spot for any reason. They have scheduled breaks to use the restroom, grab something to eat, or take care of other personal business. But while they're on the clock, CDS workers aren't allowed to move more than 12 feet away from their station. As one former sampler revealed to Mental Floss, the 12-foot radius has to do with the fact that you're responsible for maintaining your station and keeping customers safe. If a kid sees an unattended station with a hot grill running and grabs a sample off of it and burns themselves, it's a liability. Furthermore, the closer a worker is to their stand, the more control they have over their food. If they were to leave their station, they might miss a customer tampering with the samples or touching or tasting them before putting them back. A CDS worker's shift may last for 6 hours, with breaks spread throughout. Employees are generally expected to remain standing, except for breaks, though a stool may be approved upon request. Even with crowds of hungry customers consistently approaching the sampling stations throughout the day, it's possible that some of the samples might wind up in the trash at the end of a shift. When that happens, Costco samplers must take certain steps to avoid having to discard some perfectly good food. When a shift is about to end, a demo worker will change up their prep and sampling routine. As one CDS sampler explained to Mental Floss, "We'll usually make sure we're done cooking by a certain time so nothing is left over. If excess uncooked or prepared stock remains sealed in its packaging, it might end up at a local food bank, but that's at the discretion of the management of each Costco store. And even if all of these factors are observed and food remains out, hot, and ready to eat, CDS samplers still have to throw it away. As it turns out, it's against the rules to take home leftovers.
And yet, inexplicably, we've had no leftovers.
Even before thorough sanitation measures were widely introduced in 2020 to limit the spread of COVID-19, the samplers at Costco were required to adhere to strict standards of cleanliness. As one worker revealed on Reddit, every shift begins by making sure that the cooking gear and serving utensils have been freshly cleaned and sanitized. If a customer touches anything that they're not generally allowed to touch, such as utensils or food that they don't take with them, the CDS rep is required to immediately trash it or switch it out with something clean. This cross-contamination rule applies to the samplers as well. If they touch something outside of their station or sample their own wares during a break, it's expected that they'll replace their gloves right away. The most frequently refreshed cleaning tools are the gloves. As the CDS worker revealed on Reddit, we change out gloves every 5 minutes. The gloves are required to be made out of a non-latex product and worn on both hands at all times. There are also hairnets, which are required on a sampler-by-sampler basis. CDS employees must wear a white mesh cap that completely covers or tucks away all head hair, including bangs, as well as beards and mustaches. The one time that hairnets aren't required is when the sampler is showing a non-edible product. Calling CDS workers samplers is an incomplete description, as they demonstrate and pitch all kinds of products, edible or not. On one day, they may work a station touting microwavable snacks, ice cream, or soda, and then the next, they might show off pharmacy items, dietary supplements, appliances, and cleaning products. CDS rolls out a variety of product samples, and pairing the right employee with the right product is essential. Managers know their staff members very well, and they know who to assign to which products to maximize impact and customer interest. As one sampler reveals on Reddit, older employees are generally given cleaning products to demonstrate, while the bubbliest and most energetic workers are assigned things like sweets and baked goods. Those are typically the busiest sample stations, and such employees are generally able to handle the consistently high demand over an entire shift.
Could I just try a little sample? Oh, I'm so bad.
Club Demonstration Services is a company whose primary business is preparing and serving food to the general public. Even though they don't charge customers for their wares, their employees are still classified as food service workers, and thus they must be properly registered with their jurisdiction's health departments. In many states and counties, this means that they can't be on the Costco warehouse floor to sample edible products if they don't first register for and receive a government-issued food handler's card. With that in mind, CDS demonstrators are technically required to have their food handler's card on their person during their shifts at Costco. In addition, CDS and Costco require similar documentation in the form of a Costco food certificate. This is Costco-specific documentation that's issued after the samplers successfully pass a test at a warehouse. Demo workers must also have this card on hand whenever they're sampling food on the floor. The transactional nature of sampling may seem rather casual and informal, but that's just a function of good customer service. The CDS workers demoing food products want the people who approach them to feel comfortable enough to chat, listen, and enjoy a free sample. As a part of that interaction, there's a very specific routine that's standard operating procedure that's performed with cleanliness and safety in mind. Samplers aren't allowed to directly hand over a bite of the food on display to a customer, not even with their gloved hands, or even when the product is placed inside of a small plastic or paper cup. Instead, there's an important extra step. After cooking and then cutting the food down to a small size if necessary, the sampler must place the morsel in a little disposable container. Then they set it down on a tray. The customer is then directed to take that cup off of the tray. The sampler may gesture or verbally indicate that it's fine for the customer to help themselves by grabbing a cup. But under no circumstances are they to directly pass the food from their hand to the customer. One rule for Costco sampling that affects people on both sides of the station is that there's no set limit to how many free samples one customer can take. What governs the sample station is a mix of politeness, courtesy, and common sense that varies from customer to customer. The samplers have their own guidelines that they follow when deciding if someone has taken more than their fair share. As one sampler explained on Reddit, as long as you don't take an entire tray or take 3 when there's a crowd, you're more than welcome to take multiple samples. Strike a conversation with us or listen to us complain, and we'll give you mega samples.
You can have as many as you want. They're free.
Some Costco shoppers who find themselves wanting one too many extra samples may give in to feelings of shame and then buy the product that's being demonstrated. But not only will CDS employees probably not tell customers that they've enjoyed too many free samples, they aren't allowed to do that. Furthermore, if a customer misbehaves in an unclean or dangerous way at a sample stand, CDS workers can't throw the customer out of the area or the warehouse. As a sampler explained on Reddit, only the store manager has the power to ask you to leave. While the demonstrators operating the sample stands must abide by a certain set of guidelines, CDS doesn't provide many regulations that pertain to customer behavior. The biggest consideration that demo workers have to think about when letting people serve themselves has to do with children. If minors approach the sample stand without a parent or guardian present, samplers are left to use their own judgment. One consideration they should have is allergies, as young shoppers may not be as aware of important food restrictions as their parents would be. One sampler told Mental Floss that height can be used as a rough estimation in these situations. As he explained, we can't really determine the age of a kid just by looking. They just need to be tall enough to see the sample and discern what it is. However, this practice isn't official company policy. According to a CDS representative, kids under 12 still need to be accompanied by a parent when grabbing samples.